Most parents don't realize that some of the most common ways we try to help our young children are actually interfering with critical brain development happening right now. These aren't obvious mistakes. They're well-intentioned habits that feel supportive in the moment, but neuroscience shows they can quietly reshape how your child's brain learns to handle emotions, solve problems, and connect with others. And because these patterns get wired into the brain before age 3, the window to adjust them is smaller than most of us think. If you're watching this, you already care deeply about doing right by your child. That's exactly why this matters. You're not damaging your child on purpose. You're working hard, often exhausted, trying to apply advice that sounds logical. But the brain of a toddler works differently than we assume, and small daily interactions during these early years create neural pathways that become the foundation for everything that comes later. Let's walk through the specific habits that research flags as potentially harmful, why they feel so reasonable to parents, and what developmental psychology suggests we do instead. Habit number 1. Constantly preventing frustration before it starts. This looks like jumping in the second your child struggles with a toy, anticipating every need before they express it, or removing challenges the moment they seem difficult. Parents do this because we want to protect our children from distress. It feels loving, it feels responsible, and in the short term, it works. Your child stays calm, you avoid a meltdown. But here's what neuroscience shows. The prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for self-regulation and problem-solving, develops through manageable struggle. When we remove all friction, we accidentally prevent the brain from building. The neural circuits that help children tolerate discomfort, persist through difficulty, and eventually soothe themselves. Research in developmental psychology finds that toddlers who experience brief, age-appropriate frustration with caregiver support nearby develop stronger executive function skills later on. The long-term effect is a child whose brain hasn't learned that discomfort is temporary and solvable. They may become more emotionally fragile, more dependent on external rescue, and less confident in their own capacity to work through problems. What to do instead is simple but requires restraint. Pause before intervening. Give your child 10 or 15 seconds to struggle with the puzzle piece or the stuck zipper. Stay close. Narrate what you see without solving it. Say something like, "You're working hard on that." If they escalate into real distress, step in. But let the brain practice first. And here's what most parents miss about habit number 2. Over-explaining emotions instead of letting the child feel them. This happens when a toddler is upset and we immediately launch into explanations. "You're sad because we had to leave the park. I know it's hard when fun things end. You'll feel better soon." It sounds emotionally intelligent. It sounds like we're teaching emotional literacy. But neuroscience explains that before age 3, children process emotions primarily through their limbic system, not through language. The brain isn't ready to cognitively understand emotions yet. It needs to feel them, move through them, and experience co-regulation with a calm adult. When we talk too much during big feelings, we can actually heighten the emotional intensity because the child's developing brain becomes overstimulated trying to process both the feeling and the words. Developmental psychology finds that toddlers who are allowed to feel emotions fully, with a quiet, steady presence nearby, develop better emotional regulation than those who are constantly verbally coached through feelings. The hidden long-term effect is a child who learns to intellectualize feelings instead of processing them, who may struggle to sit with discomfort, or who becomes reliant on others to narrate their inner experience. What to do instead is offer your physical presence and minimal words. Sit nearby, offer a hand or a hug if they want it. Use very simple language. "I'm here, you're safe." Let their nervous system borrow your calm without flooding them with explanations. The talking can come later, after the storm has passed. This is where the brain responds differently than we expect with habit number 3, praising effort in a way that actually creates performance anxiety. Parents have heard that praising effort is better than praising outcomes, so we say things like, "You tried so hard on that drawing," or "I love how hard you worked on those blocks." The intention is good. We want to encourage persistence, but research shows there's a subtle problem. When we praise effort too intensely or too constantly, young children can start to believe that trying hard is what earns love and approval. Their developing brain begins associating their worth with productivity. They become afraid to try things they might not succeed at because failure would mean they didn't try hard enough, which feels like letting you down. Neuroscience finds that the healthiest motivation comes from internal satisfaction, not external approval. Toddlers whose caregivers notice their engagement without layering on performance-based praise tend to explore more freely and take more creative risks. The long-term effect is a child who becomes approval-seeking, who avoids challenges unless success feels guaranteed, or who develops early signs of perfectionism. What to do instead is describe what you see without judgment. Instead of "Great job trying so hard," say, "You stacked 3 blocks," or "You used red and blue." This lets your child decide how they feel about their own work. It keeps the locus of satisfaction internal. You're witnessing, not evaluating. None of this means you've done permanent harm. The brain remains plastic. Relationships can repair. But these early years are when foundational patterns get established most easily, and awareness gives you the chance to adjust now. When it matters most, your child doesn't need perfection. They need presence, patience, and a caregiver who understands that the most helpful thing we can do is sometimes step back, stay calm, and trust the brain to do what it's designed to do, grow through experience, not around it.